Hello and welcome to Springboard Media's ActivTips. I'm Amanda Urbancic. We're going to look at 6 different ways that your active classroom can help you prepare your students for state standardized tests. The first thing we're going to talk about is importing PDFs. And this is a multiple choice sample item that I got right from the Department of Education's website. The best way to import PDFs is to click on the File menu and click on Import. The first option is PDF. When you click here, it's going to take you to your desktop or your hard drive to look for things that you've downloaded. When you import the PDF, you can decide how many pages you want to add, and each page in the PDF becomes its own page in the flipchart. The page looks a little strange because it's set up to be portrait instead of landscape, so I can easily change this by clicking on the marquee handles to move my page. Once I have my page set up just like I like it, I probably want to cover up the right answers so that when students see this, they don't see the right answers. I'm going to take the pen tool and I'm going to make it white. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to add some white that covers up where the right answer is. I remember I used to do this with white out and then try to photocopy it, and you could always kind of tell which one was the right answer. If students are going to be interacting with this part of the flip chart, we want to make sure it's locked so that students don't accidentally click on the question and move them around. So we're going to click on the background or the PDF that we imported. And we're going to click here on the property menu and choose locked. Now if a student comes up and clicks on the phrase, it won't be moving the background around. One other thing you might want to do is cover up some of these options here so that students don't see all the questions at once. I could use the spotlight tool and when I click on its corner I can make it bigger. And when I click on the outside I can move it around. So this is another good way to frame the question so students can only see one question at a time. To turn off my spotlight, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to hit close. Another thing that you can use in your active classroom to get your students ready for state standardized tests is learner response systems, ActivVotes, ActivExpressions, or ActivEngage. So here's a PDF where I had put the question up for a constructed response, and I added in the guidelines along the bottom for how constructed responses could be scored. So students can read the example question, they can see how their responses will be scored. Here's the ad that they're looking at, and the question was, how does the ad convince students to buy the backpack? Now, I took sample responses of open-ended items from the PSSA website. I can make this a little bit bigger. Now I took sample responses of open-ended items from the PDE website. You can also scan or take photographs of student responses. I covered up the information they gave about scoring, and I covered up the response score up here with some white ink. If it's still a little bit hard to see, one good thing you could do would be to do a page zoom. So if you go to View and you click Page Zoom, now you have to hold it down. When you first click, it looks like nothing happens. So you can see as it zoomed in, I'm at 110%. I can also use a control click to zoom out. So now students can read this sample response, and you can create an express bowl to allow students to grade this between 1 to 3. You could also even allow them to use text to enter in what they thought were some comments about why the score was what it was. And you can see only one person voted and they gave this one a 2. Now you can have a conversation with students where they share with their partner and explain what score did you give this open-ended item and why, and then you can re-vote if you think students were really off. You can see I did this for different examples of 1 through 3. Another great thing you can do to prepare your students for a state standardized test is to create some review games. From this penguin and this iceberg, I created a really cool review game by duplicating, grouping, and locking. So there's my game board. I duplicated 1 row of icebergs, then I grouped them, and I duplicated that group 4 times. I duplicated 4 penguins and added 4 bow ties, and I grouped the bow ties to the penguins. To group something, you want to start away from both of the objects and click and drag. You can see that this button right here is highlighted because these are already grouped. If I were to click that, they would ungroup. And now that they're grouped, when I move my penguin, his bow tie moves with him. The background is locked, so when I move the penguin over, if I accidentally click on the background, nothing happens. I can tell that it's locked by going into my browsers and going down to this bottom layer. This icon right here lets me know if that is locked. If I wanted to change it, I could go into this browser and click unlocked or click locked again. I'm going to leave that locked. I made sure that the icebergs were in the bottom layer so that the penguins would be on top of the icebergs and not behind them. Here's a similar game board that I started to create for Prep-opoly, or Monopoly with different standards. So I took the assessment anchors, and I'm going to put the assessment anchors into each box. Then when the students roll the dice and move to that area, they either have to answer a question that's already been pre-made or come up with a question that fits in that anchor. Speaking of rolling the dice, one good tool for both of these games is the dice roller. I can get to it by clicking on Tools, Math Tools, Dice Roller. Actions can help you have your game move more smoothly. So to add actions, you're going to add an image or text or an object that you want the action to happen from. So here I added the dice because I want the action to be the dice roller. I'm going to select the image and I'm going to go over to my browsers. And I'm going to click on the Actions browser. Now in the Actions browser, I have current selection and drag and drop. Drag and drop is cool because these are tools that have already been made. For some reason, they didn't make one for dice roller, but we can make our own. So we're going to go over to current selection and we're going to go to command actions. And there's dice roller right there. Make sure you hit apply changes. If you just close the action browser now, it won't work. If I hit apply changes, now when I hover over here, I can tell that this image of the dice is set up to be an action. It has the blue circle with the white arrow. And when I click on it, it's going to bring the dice roller right up. That way I don't have to keep going into my tools every time. You can set up a drag and drop. You can set up a drag and drop action if you want to use the equation editor, if you want to bring up the ruler, or if you want to use the revealer. There's also ones for next page and previous page, which can get really fun in games if you create a Jeopardy style game where you set up actions that move the pages along. Same thing, you select the text and you would select current selection. And instead of command actions, that would be page actions. So you can have it go to the next page, the first page, the last page, or just another page. And when you click another page, you can choose what page you want it to go to. So let's see if this will take us to our next page. I hope you've enjoyed today's active tip. I hope your students are ready to ace the PSSAs. It's really fun to create games for days that you're doing testing as well, so that students are getting a review without even really knowing they're reviewing. Check out our Act 48 accredited professional development courses and workshops.